So as I am the development director at Austin Pets Alive, which to me is a really astonishing thing because I have never trained as a development director. I've never taken a course in fundraising. I've never gotten certified in anything. I never aspired to be a development director, and yet here I am. I started out as a grants writer and grants manager, which is kind of fundraising for introverts, which is what I am. So fundraising seemed like it would be kind of stressful, but I'm working for Austin Pets Alive, which is the other astonishing part of that statement. It is an amazing organization. It's incredibly dynamic, and it's incredibly demanding on its development director because it's a no-kill organization. And in two ways, that is really demanding. First, it's no-kill. We don't assess costs when we save a pet. And so I'm constantly being confronted with people coming in and saying, well, we need to save this puppy. This puppy's got a heart condition. It's going to cost us $5,000. Well, how am I going to fund that when I have to fund our entire budget? And this happens on a regular basis. So we're constantly working kind of in crisis. The other part that's really difficult about it is that we're an animal welfare organization. And part of what I have based my philosophy about fundraising on is that we are that kind of organization. We are kind of the poor stepchild of nonprofits. If a donor is going to give $1 million for a symphony, they might give $10,000 to animal welfare and feel generous about it. So the kind of fundraising that you do in animal welfare is a little bit different. It's based on lots and lots and lots of small gifts, lots and lots and lots of different income streams. So I have worked on nonprofits in education and poverty alleviation. I used to be a consultant to small nonprofits. I've worked all over the world. And animal welfare is a really, really different proposition. So my approach to that is to embrace it. At Austin Pets Alive, we don't separate marketing from fundraising. Our marketing team supports fundraising. And that's a little bit different than in some other sectors. But it's probably the same for all of you. I don't know how experienced you are, but I've pitched my talk to sort of very small, very startup level fundraising. And I kind of want to take us back to what I think of as a foundation of fundraising. And I'm going to talk about that in the first half of my talk. This talk goes on for 2 50-minute sessions. In the first one, I'm going to cover the basics and what I think of as the foundation for all fundraising. And then I'm going to try to take that. It's a philosophical approach. It's kind of conceptual. It's going to seem a little airy-fairy. I know you're all here for practical term help, but I think basing your philosophy the way that I do has been really powerful. And then I'm going to try to take it down and show you how to make that happen and what you actually do in your day-to-day. It's not a new philosophy, but I'll get into more on that when I get into it. But it's one that we tend to forget because if you are a professional fundraiser, you tend to focus more on the function of fundraising and not on the mission. And for us at Austin Pets Alive, all of our fundraising is based more on the mission, and we do hire people who have no background in fundraising, and we're having great success at it. And then I know because a lot of you our intent here at American Pets Alive is to give you lots of quick start tools and tips to go home and on Tuesday start applying them. I'm going to end my first session with just a kind of a mishmash of really quick start, very cheap, free or low cost ways to fundraise. So we're going to start out with this statement, which I just pulled right off the internet. It comes from Wikipedia. But this is how a lot of development and fundraising kind of unconsciously reverts. Fundraising is asking for money. And that philosophy, I think, is at the root of why development people don't last in fundraising. It's a well-known phenomenon that development directors last maybe a year, maybe 2 at the outright. They get burned out really fast. And I think that's because asking for money or thinking of your job as just asking for money is really dispiriting. And it also kind of separates you out from the great part of a nonprofit, which is that you are creating change and you are doing good. So when I came in, I started rethinking the conceptual basis of what I and my team do. And I got away from that. I said, let's try again. Let's not think of ourselves as the people who ask for money. Let's think of ourselves as creating relationships that engage our supporters. And this is all supporters. This is businesses, grant makers, individuals, major givers, smaller givers. And I know that we all know this. We all do it. We're told to tell stories and engage people. We're told that that's the most powerful way to fundraise. But we do tend to forget it. And so I have, in the last 6 months, started really focusing hard and thinking about how do I put creating a relationship with a supporter at the center of everything I do. And I have going to try to give you the benefit of what I've learned because it's been phenomenally successful. 6 months ago, we were in a crisis. We were not fundraising as much as we needed to. We were getting really disillusioned and dispirited. And I thought, I have to shake things up. I have to change things up. So I am going to consciously focus on this concept of building relationships. I don't go ask for money. I inspire people to give me money. So I was partly influenced by this book, which a philanthropic advisor told me about. He was working with one of our donors, and he was very enthusiastic about changing up how nonprofits operate because to him, as a philanthropic advisor, someone that was being asked for money, he found it dispiriting too. So he told me about this book. It's not a Bible. I wouldn't follow everything that's in it, but it's really kind of revolutionized what I do. And it has this blurb on the back of it. It says, stop asking people for money. Have them ask how much you need and when. And when I read that, I thought, well, that's kind of silly. That's never going to happen. But 3 weeks ago, we usually have a gala in October, and we canceled it this year because it was such trouble to put it on. It took up so much of our time, and we thought, and I had read that events may actually not be making as much as they should be, and they take away the opportunity to do other things, so I thought, I'm going to try that. So we canceled our gala. We moved it to, we're going to have a big event that's aimed at major givers in the spring. It's going to be a very casual, fun event. It's being planned by the wife of our board chair, who's very experienced in that. But we thought, well, we don't want to not have a face-to-face with our major givers, so we had a cocktail party. It was paid for by our board chair. It cost us absolutely nothing. Last year at our gala, we made about $130,000, which isn't a lot for that much effort. This year we had the cocktail, and we broke all the rules that you're told in fundraising. We didn't have a hard ask. We didn't have a real call to action. All we did was give them a drink, bring lots of staff there, circulate among the people. We had 2 back-to-back to give everybody a chance to come. One of them had 39 donors at it. One had 11. So we had a high ratio of staff to donors. And we just chatted with them, and then we had a video about our new message. We introduced the idea that we had an annual fund, but we didn't focus on it. We just gave them a 1-page sheet and said, take this away and think about donating to it. But we didn't really push. We didn't really ask them to give us anything. All we did was reconnect with them. We had a Q&A. They asked a lot of questions. We gave them a lot of news. It was relaxed. It was friendly. And it was phenomenally successful. I could not believe how successful it was. The next day, my text and email was going off all day long. I thought, what have I done? I've just buried myself in work. Because they had a lot of ideas. They felt really connected and engaged. And most of all, at the end of the evening, a person who had never been a donor, who had told me that he wanted to volunteer for a little while, and that maybe next year he would give us some money. And I thought, oh, maybe he's going to give us $5,000, $10,000. pulled me aside and he said, how much do you need and when do you need it? He actually said, how much do you need and when you need it? We made more money on the free cocktail party than we did on our gala the previous year. So it works. It's risky. Your executive director will probably protest if you try to do this, but I find that this is really, really successful. Well, you can't do that with all of your donors. So I looked back at a lot of the cases that we have in our fundraising, and I looked for the ways that we really succeeded at things. And I looked to see, well, is there a common denominator in this? And there was. In every case, we didn't push asking for money really, really hard. We tried to engage people. So this case was a story about a dog named Lulu Bella. Lulu Bella was one of the hardest dogs we ever had. We didn't know that we were going to ever get her out of the shelter. She was a behavior dog. She was a real problem. And so we ran this campaign on Lulu Bella's story. And we have this long letter that we sent out. It was an integrated campaign, which means that we sent a direct mail, this letter. We made sure that we addressed it to the person, because all the time you want to think about all the different ways that you engage your people. So you don't write dear friend or dear donor, that would be terrible. You write dear Mary or whoever you're writing to. And we just told the story of the dog. We didn't really ask for something for a while. We followed this up with a campaign. There was a blog post, and there was an e-solicit. There were 4 Facebook posts. It stretched out over the space of a month. And with every new piece, we continued the story. We were pulling people in, engaging them in the story, not only in the problem, but also in the solution. This was one of the Facebook posts. This whole campaign was done by our development assistant, very little experience. This was actually her first campaign that she ever wrote. And we just really focused on making it fun. Now, you still have to ask for something, even when you've engaged with people, because you have to kind of guide them to what you want. So, but what we were asking them really, in the way that we wrote all the materials, was to come into the story and hear about it and try to see how they could be a part of it, which is donating money, but by the time you get to the point where you've really charmed people and engaged them in your solution, then they want to give the money. So at the bottom of the first direct mail, we keyed people in, come back and hear more of the story. It's going to be on Facebook, and people did. We could tell by how we tracked the activity. And this campaign, which cost us about $2,000 to run total, and that was mostly the direct mail, made $25,000. This is another case. Part of a good relationship is trusting the people you're in a relationship with. And this was the case of Tipsy, a puppy who came to us as a very young puppy, and it was soon apparent that something was really, really terribly wrong with her. And turned out she had a hole in her heart, and she was going to die if the hole wasn't repaired. Well, Tipsy ended up costing us $7,000. And that was one of those cases where we didn't know quite what to do, because spending $7,000 on one puppy kind of has the potential of endangering your whole mission. So we fund these cases, these special medical cases, through chip-ins, crowdfunding. We put out the first chip-in, and the first surgery we were doing in-house, it was going to cost about $1,000. We raised that easily. Raising $1,000 for an individual animal is easy, because there's a whole class of donors out there who love the sense of connection to an individual pet. So part of a relationship is doing what your donors want to do, honoring the sense of connection that they have to your organization in whatever way that they're going to have it. So we raised $1,000. We had the surgery. It failed. So we figured we're going to have to send Tipsy to a specialist. We sent her to A&M. The bill was $5,000. The surgery was done. She came home. The surgery failed. Well, we didn't know what to do at that point, and usually we were in a big dilemma because our problem is that, as I said at the beginning, we're a no-kill organization. We've committed to this dog. We can't stop. She's in foster. Her foster family has bonded with her. It's kind of against everything we stand for to stop at that point and let the puppy die. So we called up A&M. They said they could do another surgery. It would be another $5,000. So we thought, what are we going to do? Well, our medical clinic manager writes the chip-ins. And she and I had a discussion. And we thought, well, why don't we just trust our donors? Why don't we trust the people who support us, who feel some connection to this dog? And she wrote a beautiful little paragraph that I couldn't find, so I can't replicate it up here for you. And it was about our dilemma. What do we do? Do we spend money on this dog? Do we keep going? And the paragraph ended, yeah, because this is what we believe in. And if you believe in it too, help Tipsy. So it didn't work as well as we needed it to. We didn't raise another $5,000. So Ellen Jefferson called the vet and pleaded with him to discount the surgery, told him our dilemma. He discounted the surgery, did it for $1,000. Tipsy was cured. She's a normal dog. She's going to have a normal lifespan now. And her foster family is about to adopt her. So this is another case of honoring the relationship, engaging in the relationship with your donors, keeping it at the center of everything you do. So what happens when you reframe? I'm just going to summarize. You're going to treat your supporters the way that they want to be treated, as meaningful partners in your cause. You're not going to just be taking from them. This is kind of opposed to the whole Robin Hood model of fundraising. It's more about relationship building. The effect that it had on me and my team was amazing. It was really energizing to feel that sense of connection to our donors. We were really down in the dumps 6 months ago. We're feeling a lot better now because we've tried to focus more on this. And it's become really rewarding. It makes your work more effective because you dive into it more. And we've kind of made this whole relationship building basis of fundraising central to our development at Austin Pets Alive now. We've actually done it across our whole administrative team. We don't hire people unless they're passionate about no-kill or animals. It's almost as important as whatever functional skills they have. It's actually kind of more important. We've kind of made a decision that we won't hire an accountant unless she loves animals. We won't hire a development person unless they love animals. We don't go and look for those high-level functional skills. Those things can be learned. You can learn them right off the internet. But you cannot replicate that kind of passion. That's what keeps you going when things are really stressful. And then you'll raise more funding. We are finding it to be true that whenever we stick to the principle that what we do is not ask for money, but engage in relationships, we make more money. It just happens that way. Does anyone want to challenge me on that? Okay, so that's the foundation that I would urge you all to establish in your own development. Focus on the relationship. And then try to see how you can manage it with your large donors, which is more going to be face-to-face, lots of interaction. I send the donors that I work with email regularly. I just tell them news that's going on. I may send them an animal story. I meet them a lot. I talk to them. I ask them if they're unhappy about anything I'm doing. And that was necessary in our organization because we went through 3 development directors in a 12-month period. I'm the third. And we had so much turnover that we had lost all the relationships that had been built over the years. And so I spent my first 3 months in my job apologizing to everybody profusely and getting yelled at quite a lot. So the third part of this section is on just shoestring fundraising, because that's the intent of this conference, is to send you away with some actual things that you can do on Tuesday when you go home. So a few key things that we've learned, and that is backed up in the literature, is that email is your friend. And this supports the relationship building idea. You can have a donate button. It seems really easy. People push donate, they put out a form, they give you a gift. Well, in all likelihood, they're never going to give you a gift again because you can't reach them unless they've offered their email address. And so it's better to focus on email. It's better to focus when you're young and new as getting as many email addresses as you can. It's the cheapest way to maintain a relationship with your donors and your supporters, all your volunteers, all your fosters. Austin Pets Alive runs on email. So some resources here, Gmail. I've put all this on a resource sheet. If you don't want to take notes, you can come up and get one. It's a printout. It's up here. Gmail is great. It's got great support. It's intuitive. It works easily. The advice is, and we found it to be true, do not have a Gmail address to a person. Get a domain name and have the email go to an organization. People don't trust you when you ask for money and to send it to you directly as an individual. There's a lot of free email marketing services out there, so once you've built up your email list, you can start using them. MailChimp is the one that most marketers and professional fundraisers recommend. You can keep it free forever as long as you have less than 2,000 subscribers and you send no more than 12,000 emails in a month. Well, when you're a little organization just starting up, that's plenty. The one caveat to that email marketing service is pay very careful attention to the rules of spam. If you get blackmarked as a spam distributor, you will shut down your email marketing pretty quickly. You can read about those again on the internet. And MailChimp and other ones like it, like Vertical Response, they have design templates, they have sign-up forms where you can gather email addresses. And they have analytics, so you can see how well people are responding to your email. And it's all free forever, unless you go over those numbers, and the next level up is only $10 a month. So once you start building up a sizable list, it becomes worth spending a little bit on a plan, because now you've got a return on investment that's good. So don't stint. Once you've got a big email list, really use it. Invest $10 a month in the plan and start using it even better. We love Google at Austin Pets Alive. We run off Google. Google actually chose us as one of their nonprofits and brought us in for training on all their free tools. We got to go to the Google offices. We got to bring all our managers there. They almost revolted because their offices are so nice. You can get Gmail, Drive, Calendar, Hangouts. You don't need to buy software because there's software in Google Drive. So all the Office suite is replicated in Google. YouTube for nonprofits you can use for donating. You can build up your own page on YouTube. You can have adoption videos. You can have promotional videos for your organization. You can stick donate buttons on your videos. We just started that. We learned that from Google. There's a new service by Google. It's free. It's called Google One Today, and that's for mobile giving. That's really important because more and more people aren't using computers. They're doing everything off their phone, their smartphone. So with Google One Today, you can launch a campaign. You can get it spread really wide. You donate $1 at a time, which is why it's called One Today. But it's like a really fast, easy crowdfund. It's free. They don't take any fees out of it. And then Google Ad Grants is getting those key terms for free from Google that push you up in the Google search. We have it. We've had it since 2009. Austin Pets Alive comes out near the top of the list reliably if you type in Adopt Austin. Adopt a pet, adopt a cat, adopt a dog. And that's what you need. Facebook recently started a donate button. We find that it doesn't work very well. I think people on social media like to like things, but they don't like to give. But it's free. You might as well try it. And then if you don't have a way to accept credit cards yet, or to process donations online, PayPal will do it for you. You pay a very small percentage. It's something like 2.2% of your income. There's no upfront fee. And then it'll accept credit cards. You don't have to have a PayPal account to donate through PayPal for nonprofits. There's a choice there to just go straight to your credit card. It's all secured by PayPal. The one drawback to it is that they pay out quarterly. You don't get your income right away. So if you're struggling for food for your animals, that's probably not your solution. Donor management software is going to become more and more important as you grow. With that, you can store all your donors, all their contact information, and then you can start profiling them. You can have columns or fields in your management software that says, this person loves cats, this person loves dogs. You can start targeting your email campaigns to those people or your direct mail campaigns to those people. And that's really important. At Austin Pets Alive, we grew so fast that nobody paid attention to building out our donor profiles. We're now a really big organization, and one of our main resources ought to be how well we know our donors, and we don't. So when I first started, I sent out a direct mail about kittens, and I got quite a backlash from the people who hate cats and received it. And a lot of those people have never come back and donated again because they were so offended. I don't know why an animal lover would hate a species so much, but it happens. And then if you're really, really new, it's really important to establish a web presence. It costs $10 to $20 to get a domain name. And then all the design templates that you need are pretty free. They're WordPress and Joomla are two that are recommended, and they're pretty powerful. You can look really polished and professional on the internet and not have anything at all. You can be operating out of a parking lot the way we were at Austin Pets Alive and look really great on the web. And that kind of professional digital appearance will draw donors, so don't pay attention to it. A lot of nonprofits that are, when they're new and young, don't pay enough attention to their web presence, and one of the most powerful things you can do is get onto GuideStar. GuideStar is a directory of nonprofits. It's well known among major givers, corporations, the people who have a lot of money to give. They want some sense that they can trust you. And so go to GuideStar, you fill out your own profile. You can fill it out as much or as little as you want. The more you fill out, the higher your ranking on there. You can get bronze status, silver status, gold status. The higher your ranking, the more people trust you. It's often the case that at the end of the year, when people who want to give charity are looking for a charity to give to, they will go there and they will look for your status. If you fill out your GuideStar profile, you should read between the lines. The information that they're asking for in that profile is what donors who are looking for a trustworthy charity to give to are looking for. So it's going to be things like your financial reports. The more financial reports you put up on GuideStar, the higher your ranking is going to go. They want descriptions of your programs. They want to know who's on your board. They want to know if you have a conflict of interest policy or whistleblower policy. So that is kind of, if you're young and new and you're not very familiar with how nonprofits are ranked, just read what they're asking for on GuideStar. Those are the things that your bigger donors are going to ask for as you grow. And the last thing, if you don't know about TechSoup, you should. It's a major resource for nonprofits for things like software. You can get Adobe, Microsoft products for very, very cheap. It's like $30 for a whole office suite on there. And I think that, and then these are the kinds of events that you can run almost for free. So at Austin Pets Alive, we make about, how much on third-party events? $160,000 a year. We don't do much for them. We send a volunteer to represent us. We send our events coordinator sometimes if it's a bigger event. A bar, a restaurant, a local business will host an event, raise money, and then deliver the money to us. So it's pretty cheap. You can get started by just going out around to people among your volunteer base who run a business or who know someone who ran a business and just ask them to do a fundraiser. And eventually, if you build up your brand, if you went to Lisa's talk and found out how to build up your brand, then people will be coming to you. We never seek out people for third-party events. They come to us and we turn people down because there are too many of them. Another great thing to do is an open house or a tour. If you have a shelter, bring people there, talk to them about what you're doing, show them, let them get their hands on an animal. It's that relationship building engagement. It doesn't cost you anything except staff time. You can even do it with a very extroverted volunteer, and you will get more donors that way. House parties are a thing that we're starting now. A house party is a donor or a supporter, a volunteer, somebody with a network of friends. They host a party, they pay all the costs, they invite all their friends, they say donate to APA. You get the money. You don't have to do much of anything except send someone there to talk. Community days of giving are becoming more and more important across the country. We have one here in Austin called Amplify Austin. And on that day, it's a one-day period when people across the city are encouraged to donate, and you can compete for donors. You can build up a big market presence. We do really, really well with that. How much did we raise? We raised $130,000 in one day on our community giving day. And last, simple example, donation jars. Our donation jar program is run completely by volunteers. Our staff puts almost zero time into donation jars. A lot of times I hear people who are just starting out in building their nonprofit who feel like they're at a disadvantage because they're very poor. Well, I once went to an event where I brought the development department's nice lucite box with a pretty insert in it, and we sat it down next to the donation for puppies jar that the adoption crew brings out, and everybody walked right past that lucite box and put money into the big jar. So don't feel disadvantaged by being poor. Sometimes looking that way says we need money, and people will respond. So that's the first part of my talk. Are there any questions?